Welcome everybody to both sides of the conversation. I'm your co-founder, John Henry. Today is Thursday, so you guys know what that means. It's another educational Thursday. We have two phenomenal financial wellness coaches that's going to come in here and give us some great information on financial literacy to help us better be intentional with our money and how to have economical empowerment in our communities to leave generational wealth. So I'm looking forward to tonight's phenomenal presentation from our two guests tonight. With that being said, you guys also know this is Women History Month. So tonight we're going to highlight another individual woman from our community and continue to highlight women during this Women History Month. Tonight, we are going to honor our mayor of San Francisco, the first Black female mayor of San Francisco, London Breed. What a phenomenal sister to make history, doing some amazing things to impact not only our city, but across the globe with her passion, her fight for her people. We just love her and support her. So tonight, we just want to say thank you, London Breed, for breaking that the bridge and becoming the first female mayor to do some amazing work in our community. So thank you tonight. That's our highlighted woman for this Women History Month. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and move into introducing our guest tonight. Before we get started, we also have another announcement. Today is our co-founder's birthday, Rico Hamilton. Just want to say happy birthday to my brother. He's out there enjoying himself, enjoying another day on this earth. And it's just beautiful to get old and get wisdom. And he's a freedom fighter out in the community, doing the things that he needs to do to help protect and better our community. So just want to say shout out to you, Rico. Have a great birthday. We'll see you soon. And we appreciate you. So with that being said, tonight we're going to introduce, we have our two guests that we're going to be bringing up here to the screen. We have Cynthia and Sean. They are both wellness coaches. Cynthia is a community leader, 20 years in the community, intentionally impacting our community with financial information, wanting to see a change in our community when it comes to finances. She graduated from San Francisco State University. She's a Gator. All our Gator fans out there, she is a Gator, a native, and she's doing a lot of things in the community to help impact the community when it comes to this financial thing that we know so bad. We need to have this information. And then we have Sean here, another San Francisco native, volunteers in the community, worked at Glide Memorial Church, doing things at Glide, helping the community, introducing the community to financial resources, and doing what he needs to also make sure that he impacts the community to give the information so that we can be debt free and start getting the tools that we need to build wealth and help bridge this gap. We know in our country there's a big gap when it comes to this financial wellness. Other communities are excelling while our communities are kind of behind. And we're going to help tonight with intentionally give you the information and tools that you need so that we can close this gap and have better economic empowerment to really impact our community. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to these two wonderful guests. They're going to further introduce themselves and jump into tonight's presentation. So thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thank you much, John. So first off, hey, John, thank you so much for being here. It's truly an honor to be able to be here to share this knowledge and information with our community. And that's what it's all about for us, is just being able to do what we can to give back. And definitely a huge shout out to all the ladies out there. Happy Women's Month. I know it should be more than just 1 month. And my lady knows that, hey, I honor and respect you each and every day, because that's what our ladies deserve. But Cynthia, let you go ahead and get us started. And John, you can go ahead and pull up our slides.
Well, thank you. Yes, thanks, John, and both sides of the conversation. You guys are all doing amazing work, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to share the work that I'm doing and everything that I'm learning as well. So I'm going to start by sharing a little bit about my inspiration and my crusade. My dad passed away back in July 12, 2018. Life-changing experiences, cause for life-changing decisions. And my dad, it was really unexpected on my part and our families. But, you know, one of the things was that the day he transitioned was a day I ended up going and being part of an amazing event with Tony Robbins and Unleash the Power Within. And my dad, ever since then, has been showing up, and it's been an amazing experience. but nevertheless, like he was a very strong family man, a hard worker, and he worked for Kaiser for 46 years. And one of the things after all this had happened was the reality of he had no life insurance, and my mom lost his pension plan, and there was no living trust in place at the time. There was, and my mom at one point also lost her 401k. So there was many things that had happened for our family. But most of the things is that I used to have these conversations with my dad. Like I was so happy that I found that picture with money, because he was always talking to me about money. And at different stages in my life, I was more closed and I didn't understand what he was trying to tell me, but he didn't. I went to college, like John was saying. I went to San Francisco State. I got my BA. I got my master's, and still didn't learn all the stuff that I felt that would be ideal to learn in the university, at least. And since I started doing this, I realized the lack of financial literacy, and even at the high school level. So, nobody came and sat with my parents. And so I feel like it just made a real, stressful for us. Thank God. Like I said, we do have a strong family, and, I want to shout out my family too, because I know that my mom has become my biggest fan, and, because she sees the value in all that I'm doing. And I'm really excited about this. So after my dad passed, I had a close family friend reach out to me, and I just realized a lot of things, because I have my kids, and I didn't have a lot of stuff in place that I thought I had in place. And, and I'm still working on some of my things. I think it's important to understand that financial education literacy is on a continuum in what you're learning and where you're at. So one of the things is that I realized that I had to get my stuff together. And I think that that's just really important. And timing is everything. So I think as a client, I just wanted to learn everything and get everything in, but I realized that it just takes time. And then I decided that I really wanted to go into being a financial wellness coach. What is that about? And like Janet said too, I got my master's in social work. So I have a big passion for helping families. I used to work at Good Samaritan Family Resource Center. And it's just been able to transform this way now to be able to help families. So I'm really excited. And recently, I created my vision, which is to break the cycle of poverty and create generational wealth for the Black and Brown community. Why? Because we're the community that lacks it most. And I think that, we just need to understand. So future generations, especially like with my kids, like I have those conversations that my dad had with me and with my children and my son, and, just seeing him transform and understand things differently has been just a blessing. But I know that it's important for all youth to have this information. I actually have a youth intern as well. So that's been exciting. And under the other little quick things that because of this, I did get to be able to meet with my district supervisor, Mr. Walton, and he recommended Renaissance Center. And I reached out to them, and I'm also participating in their Women's Entrepreneur Program. And all these things, I think, that are put in place for a reason. So I'm really excited to be here with you all. And I'm really thankful for Sean as well to be here with me and be here with the community. So thank you. And I'll give it to you, Sean.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. I know it's always a difficult thing for us to go out there and open up and really share our stories and what means so much to us, what means so much to our heart. So again, thank you, John. Thank you, both sides of the conversation. Truly a pleasure to be out here. And everybody on here, thank you for taking your time out of your night to come sit down and learn and share with us. So for me, again, my name's Sean Johnson, and I'm a native Californian, born and raised in San Francisco. And I want to share a story of fun with you. So back when I was young, I remember hanging out at the family's cabin. And well, my grandfather passed away the day before I started high school. And I realized that, well, shoot, I asked my dad, what's going to happen to the family's cabin now that Gramps is gone? And Dad said, don't worry about it. Gramps had something in place that the family that the cabin was paid for. I was like, okay, cool. And I went on about my way. And now, having come into financial services, having realized the importance of financial knowledge, I'm thinking, that's interesting. Nat and Gramps had some stuff together pretty well. And then I realized that my grandfather's brother passed away and their sister had to write a check for his everything. And I'm sitting here going, oh my gosh, in my own family, financial knowledge wasn't shared from brother to brother, brother to sister. That information was not shared. And I said, you know what? If I have the opportunity to make an impact on people, I'm going to do it. And I've always wanted to have a long-term impact, long-term positive impact on people. And I finally found a vehicle that is going to allow me to be able to do that and to be able to give back to my community and take care of my family at the same time. So I like to show this picture because that is our family's cabin in Tahoe. When this whole coronavirus COVID-19 thing hit and we got shut down, well, guess what? We went virtual. So we were able to shelter in place. I got to shelter in a different place. Now, that's not a huge place by any means, but you know what? It's ours, and it will always be in my family. And because my grandparents had things properly in place, that's allowed me and my family to go out there. And we got our COVID test first before we went out there. But we got our COVID test. We got to go out there and create some amazing family memories. And my lady and I got to go out there and really have a good time together. And that only happened because my grandparents had things properly planned out ahead of time. And if they hadn't done that, then, hey, who knows what would have happened. So as we chat tonight, I want you all to think about this and realize that, hey, if you're like most people, very quickly in our time together, you're going to realize this is not just a regular webinar. I promise you, we're not here to pitch you anything or try and sell you anything. But with an open mind, I promise you our time together can absolutely change the way you think about your retirement and your legacy building. Because I love what Miles Davis said here. Knowledge is freedom and ignorance is slavery. It's time that we set ourselves free because there's so much knowledge out there. If we just have access to it, guess what? We can use it and we can become free. So everyone, if you haven't had a chance to grab a notebook, I'm big on taking notes, but go ahead and grab a notebook real quick or something you can jot it down or heck, even text it in your phone. That's all good. So I want to ask you a couple of quick questions. One, on your financial journey, think about this. Are you financially where you want it to be right here, right now? Is this where you thought that you'd be at whatever age you are? And if you're young and think, I don't need to worry about finances yet, guess what? The sooner you start to think about it, the farther ahead you can be. And then number two, think about your beliefs about money. Where did they come from? Did we grow up hearing the story of, oh, money doesn't grow on trees, or that's not for us. That's for people with money. Or was it, or just number three, write down how much money you have saved right now. Whether we have $10 in the bank, we've got 20,000, we've got $1 million. However much you have, just write it down. Because part of financial knowledge is awareness. And if we're aware of how much we have, we can keep track of what we're doing and we can put a plan together to move forward in the right direction. So number 5, in the next 5 years, number 4, excuse me, in the next 5 years, if you saved the same amount of money that you saved in the last 5 years, would you be happy about that? And if not, what are you doing about it? And then think about just your knowledge of finances in general. What is it you'd like to gain from our time together tonight? If you have something specific, go ahead and write it down because then you'll be looking for it. You'll be able to listen for it. And we certainly love the opportunity to connect with each and every one of you on an individual basis and dive a little bit deeper into what your needs and financial questions might be. All right. So with that, I'm going to pass it back to Cynthia.
Thank you. So here we have Kobe Bryant. One of the biggest things the things that he said is the biggest mistake we make in life is thinking we have time. And, I'm sure if he realized that week that happened, and it marks his year anniversary in January, and what would he have done, And I think that we need to think and reflect about that because it's really important. I think that there's also a lot of other celebrities that we know of that that have had situations like, and they didn't plan. They didn't, like Aretha Franklin, Chadwick Boseman, and all these other ones. So it's really important to realize that we don't have that much time, but with the time that we have, it's important to plan. And so now we're going to go into to understanding a little bit more about financial education and helping people become financially savvy. And I want you to think about and consider these questions, right? So, it's really important to think about, do you know someone who could benefit from this information? You're going to get a lot of information tonight, which is why I'm glad Sean said to, take out your notebook and take some notes. Number 2, could this information help you, your family, or your friends financially? And later on, number 3, we'll talk more in depth about if you're intrigued by a business opportunity and making more money. We'll also be diving into that. And then we'll, one of the things that's important that we realize is there's options, and it really comes down to these basic 5 options that we have. So income protection, and, thinking about what happens if you don't make it home tonight, and think about that. What's going to happen to your family, your children? Will they be able to make ends meet after you're gone? Besides having an accident, there is always a 75% chance of getting some kind of illness, life-threatening situation, heart attack, or cancer. And there are ways to protect your family and protect your income for your family. So I think that's something people are always looking into. And then we'll go into number 2. I'll just go in retirement options. So I want you to think about what are the things that you have in place, and have they been properly set up for your future? And do you have any other plan besides what the company you work for is offering you? And if you have a diversified portfolio, or even understand what that means, because I didn't, but now I do. And it's like, it makes a big difference. And so that's really important, to know more about those options that we have. And the other, like I said, I have children, so this was really important for me. And even though I don't look like it, I'm also a grandmother, although they call me Mama Cynthia. And my grandbabies, I want to make sure that their future is set up. So I'm wondering, do you think about it? What are your plans for your children? Going to the university or community college, trade school, etc. Just kind of what life has to bring, helping them buy their new home, their first home, right? If there would be a way to do that, or a car, or, if they decide to get married, it's not for everybody, but a wedding. Or maybe they might want to start their own business, and being able to help them with that would be great. So moving on to legacy estate plan options. And so this has been really another area of eye-opening for myself as well. Do you have a plan that for everything you worked hard for, that it's protected and it goes to your family and not the government? And I obviously, like I shared with you, we didn't have it, but through this opportunity, I was able to really help and support my mom and myself. And, it's a work in progress, but at least it's been done. And now I understand what's so important, why it's so important. Especially, like I mentioned, I have my children and my family, my grandkids, and I want to be able to make sure that they are protected and they have it, and are always having these conversations about it. Okay. Number 5 is multiple streams of income. How many of us have looked for more than one job at a time to make ends meet? I know I have. I know I've probably had 3 jobs at one point, here and there. And right now during this time, like we said, it's hard times with COVID, the pandemic, and how many people do you know in the last 12 months that lost their job? They were put on furlough. I mean, something. and situation has been really difficult. So how many of us needs multiple streams of income? I'm sure that all of us. And so this year alone, like my friends, a lot of them have started their like nails or jewelry, real estate, selling food, selling masks, etc. Just to make ends meet, I'm sure. So I'm just, as you can think about these options, like which of these options speaks the loudest to you? And you can either put it on the comment or, jot it down in your notes, but just to think about it. And then these are like our financial services that are available. Some like the 401k, like we help with other companies, small businesses, life insurance, which has been so eye-opening for me. Like it's not your typical life insurance with just death benefits these days. And that really gives me a sense of security. I just want to share really quick, like last month, not last month, well, January, I did have to have a surgery and I'm still recovering from it, but it's all good. And I just think that knowing that I had that gave me a sense of a sense of like secureness, like I can do this, I'll get through this. But in knowing that, my family, if anything were to happen, that they would be taken care of. And then there's long-term care. So I'm going into college plans, index universal life, fixed index annuities, executive bonus plans. We'll talk a little bit about that. And the legacy planning, living wills and living trusts, and much more, like debt consolidation if needed. And now we'll go into the juice and pass it on to Sean.
Cool. Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you. And yes, everybody, please, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat, and we'll either try and talk about them on here right now live, or we can go ahead and talk with you after. So a couple things that are really, really important to know when we're playing this game of life. So think about it. If we're playing any game and we don't know the rules of that game, and then we just hop in to play it with people that have been playing it forever, what are our chances of winning? But then we're out here in this game of life, and we need to understand money. And we're playing this game of life with the government, with taxes, with our employers. They know all these rules, but guess what? They're not teaching us. And what that means is that puts us at a huge disadvantage. So what we want to do is be able to come here and share some knowledge and put people in a position of advantage and having some knowledge of what's actually going on. So we want people to understand the three phases of the rules of money. So first one's accumulation. Hey, is our money working hard for us just like we did for it? Or are we getting 1% rate of return sitting in the bank? Or we put it someplace where we can get that 6, 12 double-digit rate of return? Everybody wants it, but does everybody know how to get it? So we teach people how to do that. Number 2, the protection phase. I don't know about everybody on here, but I can say it's probably a pretty safe guess that you don't like losing money. I don't like losing money at all. So we show people, hey, there's 3 different ways that your money can grow. It can grow in a slow fixed account. It can grow with the market, but it can also lose with the market. But guess what? You can also get protection on your money. You can actually not have to lose money when the market drops. We show people how to do that, because the reality is most people are living their life like this, and they're going up and down, up and down, up and down. And can you imagine if you want to retire at 55 years old and it's 2007, the market's up. You're 53 years old. You're 2 years away from retirement. You can taste it. You can almost smell that fresh island breeze and taste whatever drink you're sipping on. And then bam, the market drops out. You've got to wait another 4, 5, 6, 7 years just to get back even. Not to have your money continue to grow, but just to get back to even. What would that feel like? We want to show our clients how they don't have to worry about those losses. Let's show them how they can actually get a good grip and a hold in their money. Let's lock in your gains so that you don't have to worry about the losses when the market drops and corrects itself. Let's make sure we can actually give you a solid plan to reach your goals. And next, when it comes to distribution, just like that quote that was up there in the when we first started from Robert Kiyosaki, hey, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. And do we understand how money works when it comes to taxes. Are we deferring our taxes to pay taxes later? Are we paying taxes now so we don't have to worry about it later? What are we doing? There's a lot of options out there, and we'll go through and make sure that we make it nice and simple and educate people on exactly how they can allocate their money so that it works the best for them. Because that's what it's about. You worked hard for it. You earned it. You deserve to keep as much of it as possible.
So one of the biggest concern is that most families can't retire. And, if you think about it, do you know how your 401k works? Probably not. Many people that I've sat down with don't know, and they just signed up for the company because they were offering them something. And a lot of people don't know that there's kind of 4 owners to the retirement, to 401ks, and that's the company itself, the company you work for, and Uncle Sam, right? And you. So and we'll be able to talk more about that individually for some people who are more interested. But I want to go into the average salary information for the U.S. workers. If you look on there, that's $47,000 as the median wage. And basically, people are living check to pay to check, and it's been crazy. And even if you had a high school diploma, you can see you make 30,000. And if you get an advanced degree, you can make up to 81 with a college degree, along with, usually, right, the student debt that comes along with it. But this isn't even enough to be living out here in San Francisco or the Bay Area. So it's really important for, to find other means, but also understanding that, the difference. I know we mentioned a lot with being Women's Month, and, women, unfortunately, it says that we make less than men, but that needs to change. And hopefully, with doing things like this, we'll be able to make those small changes. And one of the things that, teachers, why are teachers struggling to make ends meet? And, could it be because our system does not value the educational system, and teachers have a very important role in our lives, as well as our children and everything they're going through. So here's, Time did a special for, to acknowledge that teachers, if you see these 3 examples, my child and I share a bed, a small apartment. They spend $1,000 on supplies, and they've been laid off for 3 months due to budget cuts. The following examples, the teacher has a master's degree, 16 years of experience, works 2 extra jobs, and donates blood plasma to pay the bills. And the last one is she has 20 years of experience, but can't afford to fix her car, see a doctor, or headaches, or save for her child's future. So, here we are, kind of, teachers that have a very important role in our society aren't even being valued financially. And going in a little bit to about the retirement too, there's 3 most common sources of retirement: Social Security, employment pensions, and company plans. This is a 3-legged stool that really is very unstable. Why? Because most companies, the majority of companies, do not offer a pension plan anymore. Like I mentioned earlier, my dad worked for 46 years for Kaiser, got a good solid pension plan. But unfortunately, like I said, my mother and my father did not have a financial professional talking to them, that my mom lost his pension plan. Why? Because, he didn't, they gave him more while he was alive. And if he would have added my mother, there would have been less. And, when you're in the retirement age, you want to get every little penny you can get. So it's understandable, but it's if he would have known, I'm sure my dad would have said it's okay, because he loved my mom so much, and it is what it is now. But we're just trying to be the support for my mom. And like I said, the 401k, the retirement plan, unfortunately too, my mom lost her 401k in the 2008, which Sean was mentioning. Why? Because again, she didn't have someone giving her the best advice, and she lost her 401k in 2008. And Social Security was built and established, I think, back in the 1930s, and it wasn't for a long-term retirement plan at all. And that's why it's going out pretty sooner than later. And because in the past, people lived less years. And so now people are living like 10 to 15 years longer. And that's why Social Security is on the point of going out as well. So, and then you can go to the next.
I think I wouldn't want to sit on that stool.
Exactly. And so, I mean, not so you don't hear it from me. It was the founder of 401k, Ted Benna. He is the father of 401k, and really quick, he's known. In the late 70s, he worked as a consultant to business owners whose main agenda, was how can I get the biggest tax break and give the least to my employees legally? So, tax nerd that he was, Benna discovered an obscure part of the tax code. And, by 2012, nearly 75% of all company pension plans had disappeared, like I mentioned. And now, what does Mr. Benna say about his beautiful 401k baby today? So he said, if I were starting over from scratch today with what we know, I'd blow up the existing structure and start over. So
to me, it really blew my mind once my eyes got opened that, wow, this stuff is so real. And to find out that not only is this stuff real, but this information and the knowledge we're talking about, some of the programs we talked about earlier, they've been used and implemented by wealthy Americans. That top 5% of elitists that are making all the money have been using this knowledge for decades and decades and decades to set their families up. And I just, well, how is this even possible that there are so many people that are working so hard and not really getting anywhere? But then you have these people that they have money that they could literally burn. Why is there that gap? It's because they have knowledge. They have knowledge of options. And I know we talk about that, but I want to show y'all just a quick little example of how much money people are making and what they're actually doing with it. So this is a General Electric GE proxy statement. You can go online and Google it. And it shows here their salaries, their bonuses in thousands, because otherwise it wouldn't fit in the screen. And you can see they're making hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. So then we look at, well, what are they actually doing with that money? Well, we can see here the CEO, if you look in the third channel here, the personal use of aircraft. Well, the CEO spent a cool $250,000 flying around. That's a rough job, right? Would just hate to have that one. But now let's see, where are they actually putting their money? They're all putting $9,275 into the retirement savings plan. Now, think about it. If these CEOs and executives are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, what's $9,200? And why are they all saving that exact same amount? Because that's the retirement plan that they're telling us, that they're telling their employees they should use. Why are they putting $9,200 in? GE's match. You just cut off that G. GE's match. That's because they're saying, sure, the company's going to give me a match. I'll go ahead and take that match. I'm not going to put a dime more into that plan, though, because I've got knowledge and I know that plan's not going to work for me and my family. What are they actually doing? Cynthia mentioned executive bonus plans earlier. There are so many other programs out there besides just the default plans that we get offered. By the way, congratulations to anyone that is saving money in any type of plan, because you're saving money. That's important. So I give you a high five if we were in person. Right? So congratulations for that. But we want people to understand there are other options out there. We can see here that just with these 6 people alone, they're choosing to contribute over $1 million into other plans. They know their options. They know which option is going to work best for them and their family. And you can see in black and white which one they chose. So we want to go out there and educate people on other options. Make sure whatever tools we are using are working for us, for our purpose. Because a group plan was built for the group. It wasn't built and designed for the individual. So if nothing else, we'd love the opportunity to sit down and just make sure that we understand what we're working with, and make sure that what we're working with is going to actually get us to our personal goals. So to finish up this first part here, Cynthia asked, hey, do you know someone that could benefit from this information? How many of y'all know somebody that might benefit from hearing this? We're not charging to chat with them. We're just saying, hey, we want to share the information. It's completely complimentary. Like we said, we're going out into the community. Jot their name down. Jot their name down or share it with us. We'd love to chat with them. And then how many of y'all saw something that, shoot, you know what? Maybe I do need to learn more about my 401k. Or I have been thinking about setting something up for the kids for college. Or shoot, I'm self-employed myself and I haven't even, nobody's doing anything for my retirement. We'd love to chat with you and share some options. And then the third part here would be, hey, are you intrigued by our business model? Or do you know someone that might be intrigued by our business model and being able to make some additional income? Because I know more people than I can count that either lost their jobs over the last 12 months or had their income substantially drop down. I think we could all use making an extra couple $1,000s. It wouldn't hurt anybody. So if you do happen to know somebody, we are looking for a couple of people that we might be able to train and mentor up, and perhaps they can have a career in our financial services world. So I want to give you a little bit of quick information about it and how simple our business model is. So we're either brokers or agents, and it's our job to go out there and train, mentor, lead, develop, and inspire other agents to become brokers. Either way, guess what? They've got access to our business platform. Our business platform is the blueprints to our business. It's a proven, tested, tried, and true system that all we have to do is plug into. We don't have to deal with paying payroll. We don't have to deal with contracts. Contracts are all taken care of for us with our providers, and not just any providers. It's the top providers in the entire industry. Now, one thing that really sets us apart from traditional financial services is how we treat our clients and what we do for them. We make sure that we're educating our clients. They have a clue what's going on. Let them make an informed decision, and let's go ahead and make sure we put them in front of the right provider, because there's a ton of providers out there. And guess what? They could go to any provider they want to, but do they know what provider to go to for what need? And do they know what questions to ask to make sure they've got the right services? Because if you just go to that provider's probably looking out for that provider, not necessarily their client. We're always there for our clients. Our client needs come first and foremost 100% of the time. And as I said before, we understand that it's not a cookie cutter approach. Everybody's at a different stage in life, and everybody has different needs and goals. And we're going to take the time to make sure that our clients have their goals clearly written out, and we know what we're going to do to help them get there, and they understand that process as well.
So we like to provide our families and with the power of choice, and so they understand. So I'm sure maybe you guys know some of these companies. Have you heard of them? They're very well known, and we only work with the top rated companies. I know Nationwide on your side is like one of the biggest famous ones that people know, but there's the other ones as well. So, and then I want to go into Robert Kiyosaki. He wrote Poor Dad, Rich Dad, and he also was talking about the quote that we had there earlier. He is a well-known author, and he created the cash flow quadrant. And these are the 4 ways to produce income. So if you see on the left side, it's where 5% of the wealth is, and 95% of the population, right? And it's employees, and they have a job. And there's nothing wrong with the job, but as long as you know that you're trading time for money. And in self-employed, it's the same, but sometimes you're trading more time for more money. And shifting over to the right quadrant, or the right side, is 95% of the wealth and 5% of the population. And business owners, they own a business, they leverage people, and that's how it's all together making money. And investors, right, how they're making their money work for them. And so it's just really important to understand this. And sometimes, like for my own experience, I was very good as an employee. I know what it was like. And as I've shifted and kind of looking at different ways of being an entrepreneur and what that means to me, has opened up a lot of opportunity for me. So I appreciate that.
Cool. And it's such a big deal to have that control of your time back, because that's the one great equalizer. I don't care if you're Bill Gates or somebody hanging out in the corner, just relaxing and figuring out their day. We all have 24 hours in a day. If we can get more time, how powerful would that be?
Mm-hmm.
And now understanding our business real quick, 3 different ways that we get paid. So think about it. If you have one job, you get paid your hourly wage. However many hours you work, that's what you get paid. Or for salary, however many hours they can make you work, you get paid your salary. So we get paid when we help out a client, but we don't get paid from our clients. We get paid by our companies. Whatever company we connect that client with, they're going to compensate us. So I'm saying, gosh, guys, if we can't go out into our community and be able to say, well, if you can't afford free, we got to have a whole nother conversation. So we get paid in our personal income, because not knocking a job, but they pay the position, not the person. So what if we can go ahead and earn what we're worth, not just earn the title? And then the other question I like to ask people is, well, when's the last time we got compensated for work we did 3 months ago, 6 months ago, 2 years ago? Well, guess what? We take care of our clients. We get residual. You're gonna go to work. Why not get paid for life on it? We get compensated on work we've done before because we stay in touch with our clients. We make sure everything's still going good year after year. And number 3, talk about getting power of time and being able to have a leverage income and actually own our business. So if we go back to looking at the cash flow quadrants here, being able to switch from being an employee to self-employed, you take off one hat, you put on 15. When you're a business owner, you don't have to be there to make money. You never see the person that owns Amazon driving the van, dropping off your packages. You don't ever see the person that owns Costco out there checking you out, right, with the mask on and everything. The people the farthest away from that business are the ones making the most money. But the big thing for me is the time. So for me, what this business has done is it's given me the time to be able to be there for my family when they needed me. When my uncle got sick, and we had a conversation a couple months prior, because we'd already had 2 deaths in the family earlier that year. And my dad says, somebody's got to take care of your uncle. We need to have a family conversation. I'm like, stop, I got this. Because I had the time. I didn't know that the day before Christmas, he was going to end up going to the hospital and he would never go back to his home again. He smoked for longer than I've been alive. And severe COPD, end-stage lung disease, ended up being on oxygen. Because I had the time, because I control my time with my business, I was able to take him. I took him, not somebody from that board and care home he was at. I took him to every single doctor's appointment he had. I was there every single day when he was in the hospital, and nurses knew me by first name because I had that time to be there. When my mom got diagnosed with a double shot of cancer in 1 year, I had the time to be able to be there for her and say, don't worry about it. I've got you. Whatever you need, I could take that time to be there and take her to the treatments. When my dad goes through and tells me on a Monday he's having his knee replaced or his hip replaced on Thursday, I was able to be there for him. I was able to push him around the wheelchair and not have to worry about somebody else pushing my dad around and getting him from one appointment to the next because he couldn't walk. And what's choking me up right now is the fact that my aunt just passed away last month. She was in a nursing home for over 18 years. But guess what? Because I had the time, the majority of the time, anytime she went someplace, anytime the family went someplace, I got to take her. I got to pick her up. I got to have those good times with her. And that was only because of this business and me being able to have that time to spend with her and not have to worry about asking another grown man for permission to have some time off so I could be there with my family. So that just means so much to me. And I don't mean to get too deep on everybody, but hey, I just want you to know the opportunities and the potential that we have here to not just have that knowledge out there to give to others, but how it can be a blessing to you in your life. So to wrap things up here a little bit, next couple of things we'd like to talk about would be, hey, look, if something spoke to you, if you'd like to hear a little bit more, then guess what? Let's sit down with you. Let's do a complimentary financial review. And let's see what we can do for you. Let's see where you're at. Our job's not to wipe the slate clean and say everything you're doing is wrong. Do it all with us. No. Our goal is to sit down with you. And like I said before, let's figure out what it is you have. Let's figure out what your goals are. And let's see if you're using the vehicle that's going to help you get to those goals. And next, hey, everybody, I always say there's a wealth of knowledge and the power of wealth. And knowledge is not power unless it's shared. So here's some books. Jot them down real quick. Take a picture of it, whatever. This is some awesome information that, hey, there's so many secrets hidden in books. Let's share some of those secrets. There's no reason at all that we should keep these secrets to ourselves anymore. Let's go out there and do what the Rockefellers have done. Let's set ourselves up the same way wealthy Americans have been doing for decades and decades. There's nothing saying we can't do it. And especially with people like Cynthia and I out there that are saying, hey, look, let's share this information with the quote unquote average everyday people. You know what? We're just as important as everybody else. So we deserve that knowledge and that information as well. So we're here to give it to you.
Thank you, Sean. I just wanted to really also say thank you, but I also wanted to include that, what we do out there, like I do this part-time, just mostly on the weekends and things like that, in the evenings, because we have great, amazing people that work with, like Sean, and I also work with Lisa Subnet and Terrence and Zach Grants, and they are amazing leaders, helping, mentors, just kind of step out and learn different things. I know that from my experience, when we talk about money, it's so emotionally charged, but it's, at the end of the day, once you get more comfortable with, what you can do and the choices you can make, and like, we say, like, most people don't fail to plan. They just plan. I mean, they don't plan to fail. They just fail to plan. And so, we're just here trying to give this information out for everybody to have it and, figure out their next steps and what would their family need. Everything's on an individual basis. And I'm just really feel blessed for this opportunity. And like I said, my dad is my inspiration. And I'm telling you, he always just say that too. I'm telling you, but and when I met John and, John Henry, who's part of this program, and other Johns as well, like John Mendoza from Calle 24, Susana Rojas, just other people who have been able, and Tracy Brown, and just everybody that's kind of helping me and support, because I really want this information for, also I've been reaching out to the nonprofits and their staff so they could understand that, we could, collaborate. They can get this information. They have more understanding, and it's just so important. It really is. And so thanks again, just for being here and spending your evening with us and being open-minded to learn more. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Sean, as well.
Absolutely. And I saw a quick question there about any advice for someone stuck in a car loan. That can get really specific. If you'd like to reach out, I can certainly give you a little more advice. I do have some experience in that area as well. But you basically want to find out, hey, what are the stipulations of that car loan, right? And how's the account set up? How much longer do you have to pay it back? And what are the refinancing options? But looking at that really specifically, very closely for the individual one, because they can all be set up very, very differently. But no, definitely would like to say thank you to everyone. Appreciate everybody taking some time out to learn tonight. And we would certainly welcome again the opportunity to chat with you, be it to just answer some questions or to go into something specific if you have interest in learning more about a specific area. Or again, if you or someone might be interested in a part-time additional income. Like I said, we are looking for a couple more people that we can train and develop up. We train completely in-house. We will teach you everything you need to know from 1 to 1,000 and A to Z. So thank you again. If there's any other questions, we're certainly open to chat some more and answer them.
Wow. Powerful presentation. I just want to say thank you guys for coming on, educating the community. A lot of people in the Black and brown community, this information is not available. for them. Sometimes it's a difficult conversation to have. You know, they say in our communities, talking about money is like talking about mental health. It's a stigma. We don't want to talk about it, but it's a conversation that we need to have because the wealth gap in America is growing farther and we're getting left behind. And these conversations have to happen. I mean, we're talking about the classism, we're talking about the capitalism, we're talking about the genocide and how all this is playing together in our communities. And we have to do something about it. The debt is killing us. You know, people are not making the right decisions, and I just don't believe it's always that it's no money. It's just knowing the right things and how to leverage your money. I think that was a good point that you guys brought out. You know, you go around our community, you see people in the malls, you see people in the store, you see people out, but we're not putting our time and energy into the right places to make sure that we are investing. And you know, this is what we're talking about here at both sides of the conversation. I mean, talking about the legacy leaving, making sure that you're able to leave financial and generational wealth to your loved ones is very important. You know, we in a community, we work in a community where there's a lot of violence, a lot of death. Everyone on this platform, we've talked over and over how important it is to have life insurance at some point, because we are having too many of these situations, not only with COVID, where our families are not protected and we lose our generational wealth. And we keep stressing this. A funeral can put a family in financial ruin. A single parent
Yeah.
or a grandmother, one death in the family could set a family back, you know, 10, 20 years trying to pay for funeral service. We have to do better. We have to be intentional with our information when it comes to this life insurance thing. I am frustrated. I know my co-founder, our team, we are so frustrated when we're on our social media handles and people are out there and they are asking for donation and GoFundMe funds. This is unacceptable, community. We need to make sure that we have the proper protection. I also do financial literacy teaching. As Sin know, we're going to partner up and do some things that impact the community once this pandemic is over. But we have to start having these conversations. We have to get intentional with our budgeting. And I've been preaching to the community. We need a budget, and we need to make sure that life insurance is part of that budget before our cable, before our cell phone bills, and all of these things. We need to make sure that we have a way to protect our assets. And Sin, I know, I just want to say I commend you for coming tonight. I know you had the procedure that you had to deal with. I know people was giving me the smoke, saying, "Hey, she need to rest." I know you wanted to come. I just want to thank you. But you know, you was able to reschedule if you wanted to. But what a trailblazer in our community! This is what community commitment looks like. Dedication. Out of the hospital bed, on here trying to empower the community. That's what people I always tell people. That's why you know, Cynthia is so important to the community. Not only what you're doing, but to be here on Women's History Month, making history, doing the things that's needed to change the paradigm in our community, change the narrative when it comes to these finances. So I just want to say thank you and commend you with your strength, your dedication, and your courage to be here tonight, going through what you went through, still trying to show love to the community and make sure we get this information. So what a phenomenal presentation. Looking forward for you guys to come do some other things. Community, we're doing our part. You asked for us to give you the resources. We didn't wait. We went out here. We reached out to the best. You got some amazing coaches here that will take the time to give you the information you need. Don't be ashamed. Don't be aside. Give them a call. Reach out and see, is there anything that they can help you? Take some of the information. And then if you want an opportunity to do this, you like this is something that you feel like you're empowered by, you want to do, please reach out to them. They're coaching people. And these are top flight people that care about community, and they're going to make sure that you get the information that empower the community and powerfully doing this thing that's needed, because it is this time we have to get our community investing. We have to get our community with doing their retirement process. I think that was a very powerful statement that you and Sean talked about, the retirement system. Our retirement system is failing our workers, okay? These people are retiring and they don't have the amount of financial means need to live the continued life that they lead. They lose their houses. They have to work at Walmart. We have to educate these people, and that's what we're trying to do here at both sides of the conversation, bringing phenomenal guests like this who care about the community, giving up their time for free to volunteer, to give back. So when people say people don't care, they climb the ladder of success and they come back and they pulling up people. So what a phenomenal job you guys are doing. This financial conversation will not go away. We have another sister coming up next week to be talking about some more financial stuff from a different angle. We're going to keep plugging and pushing this financial thing. And to my brother Art Burton out here last Thursday, he was talking about financial literacy. We had a number of problems with him sharing his PowerPoint presentation, but the community reached out. They want him back. So, Art, if you out there listening, we're going to get you back here on this new platform. And we're going to make sure that you get the information that you need to get out to the community as well, because that's what we believe in. The more information, the better off we are. And we have to have these difficult conversations. And I'm glad another thing that you touched on, saying about the gap in women and men's salaries, right? And there's a big push in America. We're talking about equity and equality, and I'm at a point where I think equality is just out of the window. We need to just focus on equity and inclusion. But not only for women. When it comes to the minority community versus our white counterparts in other areas, there's a big gap. Okay, and the pay, and it's time for us as community, as citizens, to hold our elected officials accountable. It is time for the Labor Department, the Treasury, to relook at this labor that we're doing in these wages, because I think some of our officials has lost tone on what it takes to make it, and part of it is this capitalism. I don't think really true economic empowerment can happen for us if we don't change this way we design and do business, because it is just impacting us, and people are struggling, like you said. There's people working 3, 4, 5 jobs to make it, and we had a 1% doing everything. But this retirement thing, we go keep pushing it, but it's time to have some legislative change. I mean, we have new leadership in the White House. We have new leadership all across this country. But it is time to have a real conversation in these first 100 days about economical empowerment for our communities, because the Black and brown communities are getting impacted tremendously when it comes to pay and this economic disadvantage and inequities that we have to deal with. And we can't be silent anymore. This classism in America has to stop.
Yes, John. So I just wanted to say one more thing, and I wanted to give a shout out to my intern who's actually on too. Her name's Ruth. And she's a high school student and she's a junior. And I have my son and my daughter who've been my informal interns. So it's just been great to be able to, she's just loving it. She's been on the training. She's been and I've been giving her the books, and she's just loving it. And I'm so glad that she's on, because it begins with our youth. And that's why I'm going back to that, to make some changes, to understand, what they can do once they have this information and knowledge. Because I asked her, and she's so cute. I asked her, so who's the first person you want to help and she said, my mom. And I said, of course, that's what I'd want to do too. That's how I think about my family all the time. And then I said, but who else? And then she's like, me? Yes, you. And it was just a great conversation to have with her, and get her to be really excited about this, and being able to have the possibility of getting licensed, because it's a process. You got to get licensed to be in our field, but it's so amazing and it's so rewarding. And I just thank you again, John, for getting us on and giving us the time to share this information.
No, definitely. I appreciate you guys. Sean, you want to jump in there and say something?
Yeah, I mean, thank you. Your comments it resonates so true, because it's important. It's essential for us to get back out there and, like you said, have those conversations within our communities, within our families, because people don't do it. And I was reaching for the funeral papers and stuff for my aunt, because we just had to go through all that. Now, unfortunately, she didn't have everything in place, but the family was able to pull through. But there's no such thing as being too young to start preparing financially, or to start preparing our kids financially.
Mm-hmm.
Because the sooner we start planning about this, it's easy to do. Because if we wait till we're 55 years old, maybe I should think about retirement. You can't save $150 a month and retire at that point. And it's a similar thing to, we can't wait till our kids are 16 years old. Maybe I should think about saving for college. Well, let's start planning sooner, so that we're all in a better position, and realize that it's not just about for our kids. It's not just college. They're going to need to be set up for after college as well. Let's make sure we're really thinking, we're really planning, because there is no such thing as starting too early. You start in your 20s saving $100, $150. Guess what? That'll turn into something. That may seem like a big investment right now, but that small little bit will turn into something to set you up for a long time. So now, again, John and everybody else with both sides of the conversation, thank you so much for allowing us to be on here to share this information and give us another opportunity to get back out there into the communities. Really, really appreciate it.
Definitely. Anytime you guys want to come on and do anything, you guys know we're about community. You guys have options to come on whenever to teach whatever, something new. If you guys want to just get specific in certain fields, I just think the what Cynthia talked about when it comes to estate planning is very important as well as in our community. You know, when this gentrification happened, and especially here in the Bay Area, like you said, when some of our elders pass away because we don't have the right living trust and the protections that's needed. Our families losing probate court, and we have to have these wills and these living trusts set up right and make sure that we can protect our family assets because that's how we build generational wealth. And I think it's very, very, very important. So I just want to say thank you, guys. Very intentional conversation. It is a conversation that we have to keep driving in our community. But I did have a question I wanted to throw you guys. I apologize because I was trying to do some data to get the information. But in our group today, a good brother of mine, Omar Butler, he posted this thing about the financial wealth gap. And what he was showing that there was about 172,000 dollar gap between the black and brown community. So it was 172,000 per white family and about 17,500 for black families. I believe it's a little bit lower, but I was trying to research that data. But just to show the gap, how much are financially we are behind our counterparts when it comes to this economic thing. I mean, the inequities and how do we get there? And I think our mayor has some good plans talking about universal income, different things, reparations. There's a lot of talks going on. But it's time to have the conversation. We have to close the gap when it comes to this financial thing in our country. It is impacting our communities. And with this COVID, it's impacted us even greater. So the gap is steady growing. And like you said, Sean, the jobs are going away. People are losing their jobs. Robots, technology are taking away the job.
Mhm.
What is this financial outcome going to look for us here in the next 5 or 10 years if we really don't start having a real conversation about what's needed financially and how to set up the wealth? Because like you guys showed on the flyer, every major corporation CEO, Jeff Bezos, they all doing the tricks and trades to find out how to make less and give their employees less. How as a country do we get policies in place to help protect the workers and the people of this country? It's something that we have to talk about, and it has to happen fast because this gap of wealth is causing the issues that we see today that's impacting our community with violence, the robberies, the different things that's going on. It is impacting our communities, and we have to start getting to the root of the issue.
Yeah. It starts with that conversation. That is the biggest thing that holds us back. Like I said, that's why I share that with my family. How can you have everything set up? I mean, coming from Louisiana, growing up black in San Francisco in the 50s and 60s, but they made it. They bought the cars. Gramps always had the caddy. They bought the house in San Francisco and the cabin, and they were all set up. But then his brother passes away, and there's nothing. That's because there wasn't a conversation. Because people don't want to have that conversation, or think, no, I'm good, I'm okay, I don't need that stuff. That's the thing. If we can drop our shields, let go of our ego, and just be willing to say, hey, look, y'all willing to help me out? Cool. Let's talk, and let's just have that conversation and start wherever you can. A lot of times people think that, oh, I've got to have a whole bunch of money to start saving or to start doing. You have to start somewhere. And I promise you can start wherever you are. There's a plan that can be put together to start doing something wherever you are, even if it means I stop drinking coffee so I can save $5 a day. There's a plan to start wherever you are to help you get in a better position financially, but it starts with that conversation.
I appreciate it. That's why we created both sides of the conversation. We wanted to start the conversation on both sides, have the difficult conversation, have the taboo conversation, the conversation with stigma, because it's definitely a conversation that we got to continue to have. It's just being real. But again, community. Here's two individuals. They come from the community like us. They natives of California, San Francisco. They in the building, right? They understand where we at. Go sit down. Sit down and have some time with them. Let them go over the things and make sure you're right. We don't have time to wait. We got to get past this pride issue and just sit down and find out where we at and start making the change, because I'm telling you, time is running out. Taxes are going up. Things are still going to impact us. We got to at some point just sit down and have that difficult conversation, get the reality, make the changes, lifestyle changes that we need so that we can go ahead and start to impact our communities. We can no longer wait. No one's going to save us. We only can save ourselves. Thanks to people like Cynthia and Sean here. They are starting to lead the way to do this. And I know there's others, but we have to come together, community, and we got to deal with this. We have to deal with this because it's impacting our communities in ways it's never been. And the results are starting to look real bad for us. So thank you. So here's a question that just came up. If you guys want to speak to that, you guys can.
Well, I just wanted to piggyback what you guys were talking about, because I think, like you said, it starts conversations in the home. And I feel like with my son, we used to have these conversations that he was more not understanding, like money, we don't need money. And I understand that. And I feel like through my experience, I've been able to, I did a personal financial review with him, I go make it up like months after I've been doing it. And he put down that he was making $20,000 a month. He was 26-year-old. He bought a house and he was giving $5,000 a month to charity. And I feel like that impacted me the most, the charity giving, because I was like, that's how we're going to impact the community. I understand that there's agencies like Meta, which I totally respect. And I was able, like, I live out here in the Bayview, and I was able to get my home through Meta. But as I think about it, it's only one big agency, and there needs to be more. And I think that's the other thing. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing as well, like to see how that's all going to, impact the community, about creating these resources, these internships for youth, and, just being able to provide that information so they make different choices. And I think it just begins with one family, starting with our families. And then, things that I've learned now, like I talk to my kids openly about, like, 'cause at the end of the day, not to be like, I know no one's getting out of here alive. And I need my kids to know that I love them so much, that I want them to have more than I had, but to even value what I had. So that's why when I bring up this book, What the Rockefellers Would Do, is because I'm learning, because I want to leave them and have them understand, when they do have this wealth, what are they going to do with it too? And obviously I'm going to have things in detail as well, but it's all a process. And so I'm really excited about what our future generations can do once they have the information.
Oh, very, very powerful. And as you guys are training up these young people coming in and teach them this, I had a debate with Art last week. I want to make sure that we are educating our community the right way, because a lot of these people are not investing. I want to make sure when you guys start talking about stocks and investments in retirement, that we are educating our people to make sure that at least 65% of their retirement are in index funded accounts. Um, when we go to these institutions to sign up and people get involved in stocks and investment, typically they are being sold mutual funds, and that's fine. I understand why. But most places you walk in, they're not going to talk to you about index funded account. And we understand that, with the mutual funds, there's service fees and fees that, the people who are selling the policies have to do to manage the fund. And that's fine. I'm not about putting down people making income, but I want to make sure that our people, especially the ones that's up in middle age, 40 years older, trying to get in the game late, that we make sure that we protect them and make sure that we have a big portion of their wealth in index funded accounts, so that as they get up to retirement age, they're not getting hit or impacted by the stock market in the way that they lose everything. And I'm going to keep harping on that. I know me and Art had a big debate about it, but I want to make sure, and, he was saying, all the wealthy people are doing it, but we have to follow their trends. And I'm glad you said that, Sin, because these access to these type of accounts are there for the people. But it's funny to me that when you start doing the research and you find out the top CEOs of these banks and corporations and these billionaires and millionaires, they have majority of their investments in index funded accounts. But when it comes to me and you and the people in the working community, these type of accounts are never sold or talked about. And I want to change that narrative. And I know Art disagree with me, but it is both sides of the conversation. So we respect everybody's perspective. But as you guys coach up young people, and I'm sure you guys understand, we have to make sure when people are coming in from the community who don't understand really what's going on, we as the people who are selling them into these policies, make sure that we also look out for their interests on the back end and make sure that they're protecting their assets.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And to that point, when you attempt to have the conversation with somebody and like, oh, I don't have enough, I don't know, I remember talking with somebody. This was before I was even in this industry, and they said, "Oh, Sean, I wanted this, this, and that, but shoot, we just lost $1 million in our retirement account." And I'm going, "You what? What do you mean you lost $1 million?" And I'm thinking, if I put my hand in my pocket and I thought there was a 20 in there, and I can't tell you something stupid I did with it, I'm mad. I can't fathom just $1 million just poof is gone, and I can't even say I did something stupid with it. But they had $1 million to lose. They're going to have to redo their plans, but guess what? They're going to be okay. If you have $1,000 and you lose half, now what? We really need to have the conversation if we don't have that million. It's a business. Of course, we're going to help you out with the million. But the people we really need to have the conversation with is people that are still trying to get to that million plus, because you can't afford to lose it. You don't have enough to lose. That's why you see some people that are out there gambling a bit more, because they can afford to lose it. If we can't afford to lose it, we shouldn't be gambling. So awesome point, John.
No, definitely. And, I'm about my people. That's one thing about me. I'm always going to give them to the truth. I love my people. I love the Black and brown community. And I know a lot of times we get taken advantage of. We have way too many poverty pimps in our community. And I'm just tired of it. And, I'm definitely going to stand up against that. And I'm glad to be working with people like you, because I know you guys understand it and get it. And we just got to keep preaching this information. I mean, we have to help our people. We are getting hit in different ways. And, it just takes people to have a little bit of heart, a little bit of courage, and say, hey, this is not the way it should be. And not think about the greed and the opportunity that they could have, but make sure that we're looking out for community, because as the community gets better, we all live a better life. And that's what I tell people. It's no fun if one person's a millionaire and everybody's poor, because now you're looking at me. I want everybody to be successful. I want us all to live good. And we can. We have to stop saying we can't. It's just behaviors. We have to change our behavior, our outlook of money. And that's why this financial literacy session tonight was so important. Take the information, take the notes. If you missed anything tonight, if you want to reach out to them, you can go back to our YouTube, watch the video. You can go back to our Facebook page, watch it, listen. Don't be afraid. Today is the day. Get out of debt. Get into a financial place where you're thinking about your children in the future. As Sean said, things happen. Life happens. And we just got to make sure that we're taking the right steps to protect our families financially and making sure we're moving this generational wealth like other communities is doing, especially when it comes to the college planning. As the Black and brown community, we cannot wait on scholarships and grants and athletic scholarships. We have to be intentional as parents and family leaders to make sure that our youth, at the age they're born, we are starting to intentionally prepare to put up money for them so that they can have a successful life when they want to go to college, so that they don't have to start off life with a debt, with a student loan. We want to get them a head start. And that's kind of why the gap in some of our other communities are gaining on us, because they are planning and putting money up so their kids don't have the student loans. So when they get out of college with $150,000 career, they don't have to pay anything back. They could just take that money, buy houses, and evolve and start planning for their future. So just a different way of thinking. We just have to do it. And I know we can get there. It's a little bit about trust. It's a little bit about patience, a little bit about understanding, and having people like you all that have compassion, have humanity, and love for the people. The more of you we all can create, the better off we are financially impact our community. So I just want to thank you guys for the last time. I know I said it 3 times, but we're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up this Sunday. For everybody watching, this Sunday at 2:00, we will jump into our Sunday conversation. We still have a couple of spots. If you would like to join to be a panelist for this Sunday, we are talking about prison reform. Okay, we're going to talk about how we got there, the mass incarceration issues, where we at, how do we get out of it, how do we impact the people that are re-entering back into our community. And it starts with stuff like this: financial literacy, making sure that they understand how to get financial support and housing, and how do we fix this, what does this look like. So that's the 2-week conversation that we're having on prison reform. We have some phenomenal people that's going to be coming on the next 2 Sundays talking about this prison reform thing. It is an important conversation. We all know in the Black and brown community, mass incarceration has impacted us negatively. And we have to get out of there. This prison thing is not working for community. Locking people up is not doing us the justice. We have to rethink about it. And this conversation has been going on across the nation But this Sunday and the next Sunday, we are going to start that conversation here at Both Sides of Conversation. So if you know anyone in there that has a background and what's going on with this prison reform, please have them reach out to us so we could get them on to have this important conversation to help impact our community, change this thought process of prison and incarceration. We have to get out there and think about it. And there's some amazing folks. I was on calls this week. Some bills were passed this week. There are some amazing people doing things to create a way to change the narrative and get people access back in the community to do some of the things that they can also help impact the community. So looking forward to that conversation this Sunday on Both Sides of Conversation. And then on Tuesday, we're going to jump into our favorite segment, our hidden gem segment. We're going to have the coaches from the San Francisco Rebels and a few other phenomenal people that's going to come on as hidden gems. I am excited because it's always good to see a bunch of brothers and sisters in the community that are doing things to impact our community. It is going to be phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to this Tuesday's hidden gem at 7 p.m. I hope you guys are going to be able to join us. There's some phenomenal brothers who are doing things to impact our youth through sports and other means in the community. And I think it's going to be a phenomenal show. And then next Thursday, we'll have another show like this. We're going to have a sister from Vegas coming on. She's going to be talking about financial literacy as well, some credit stuff. She's a powerful sister doing things to connect community as well. So we're looking forward to that next Thursday presentation as well. And you guys know, continue to support us. Go to our YouTube, click like and subscribe as we build up the platform. We have a lot of our followers in our Facebook group. We are trying to move those people into our YouTube subscription because that's where we're going. Everything's on YouTube. I know it's taking some time, so we put some money incentive. We're giving away $200 cash app to the first 1,000 subscribers. We're going to give $300 to the first 5,000 subscribers, and we're going to have an undisclosed amount that will probably be over $1,200 for our first 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. So looking forward to find out who those people are. The only disclaimer is you have to come on our hidden gem segment and announce that you were the 1,000, 5,000, or 10,000 subscriber, and you have to let everybody know it wasn't a gimmick. You received your cash app. So looking forward to that. Salute to whoever's that's going to be, that lucky winner. We're looking forward to having that. But thank you guys for tuning in tonight. This was very powerful. A lot of information. We've left up their information. If you can't find it, you can also reach out to us here at Both Sides of Conversation, and we'll make sure that we connect you with Cynthia and Sean. Thank you guys for the phenomenal work you're doing, impacting our community, giving them the information and tools that we need, because we definitely need this financial literacy. There's talk all across the country, especially here in San Francisco, with our board president, Shaman Walton, about this. I can't even think in my head right now. Reparations. So I'm on the belief that before we give out financial justice and reparations, our people should go through financial literacy, because we don't want to put a financial payment to our community and they don't know what to do with. We want to definitely teach them how to invest. And I know this reparation thing is going to look like a lot of things, but I definitely want to make sure that we get these people in some training to understand that is not the money and the time to go to Gucci and Prada and buy Birkin bags and do all this nonsense that we do. It is time to intentionally invest our money and make sure that we leave generational wealth to the community. So with that being said, thank you all for joining. We will see you guys this Sunday. Have a blessed evening. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you all for watching. We are now out of here.
All right. Thanks, John.
Good night. Thank you again.